I understand that. Go
Welcome,
ahead.
welcome, welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blenders. Your boy A. Davis. I got Mr. Coach Sip in the building joining us. How you doing, sir? What's going on with you this evening?
Pretty good, man. Just hanging out at the crib. It's quiet. Got a little mama down. It's good to be back on the mic talking basketball. So I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, absolutely. Plenty of people been you've been doing this for a long time, so a lot of people respect your opinion. And not only do they respect your opinion, you know what I mean? I don't think it's really questioned whether you know the game or not. You know what I mean? Which is one of the things that I think matter in the most part in these spaces, especially with, a lot of people putting out new content and stuff like that. You need
Mm-hmm.
valued and trusted opinion of people that know what they're looking at and how to articulate the game. How if and this just for I looked you up, don't you know what I mean? So I already know you got time in, but just how did your love for the game start?
Truth be told, the first sport I played was football. My dad, my dad put me at Harrell Park because his younger brothers, my uncles, which they're more like big brothers than uncles because they're so close in age to me. They play football, and they just taught me in football, and I took a hit, and it's been basketball ever since. So, um, my dad
How
used to
age?
play. In,
What age
it
was that, if you don't mind?
probably about six or seven. Um, and my dad played in these adult leagues. Um, you know, these adult leagues. He played with some dudes that was real good basketball players in high school. Dwayne Spencer, Graylin Warner played in there. Big Stan Norwood played in a little
Oh,
bit. it was some heavy hitters in that. They used to play at St. Raphael when it was on Elysian, the one on Elysian Fields every
oh,
Saturday,
that's some
and that
legit
was
runs.
yeah, and that was when my dad would pack me and my little sister up, and we'd go watch every Saturday. Started off with me just like going because some of the other hoopers had kids our age, so we would just go and play with them. But probably about the age of 10 was when I really just like sit down and actually like start watching them hoop. And then I say about 12, 13, my uncle, he coaches at Tarleton State now, but he'd been coaching the college basketball about as long as I've been alive. And
Damn.
right around the time I turned 12, he started coaching at UNLV.
Okay.
This was 96 because Greedy Daniels played at Cohen. Greedy signed to UNLV when he was there. And I remember UNLV came to went to New Orleans to play Tulane, and it was rocking. And I was like, oh, this what
Oh,
it is. Greedy
yeah,
got a Greedy got a whole uptown was in the building.
going
Everybody
crazy.
who knew. I mean, of course, it's Tulane, so it's right on Forest Street. But my dad put the ball in my hand. He took me to the gym with him. His his side of the family is all basketball. My granddad coached. His name is Skeet. A lot of the OGs in the city know him.
Hmm.
They came up under him, and then my uncle coached in college for a long time. My dad was a real good basketball player in high school. Played at Suno, broke some records over there in I want to say the '80s maybe, right around the time I was born. And then his younger brothers hoop. So I just been around it, and I started coaching in college. Once I played in college, I had the itch to coach, and it just kept growing from there.
And then so develop from you coaching the game, like actually being on the sideline, and then you
Hmm.
transition into the player development side, and that's
Yeah,
that's kind of how that leap happened.
yeah. She. So when I was coaching, yeah, I wanted to coach. My uncle was coaching at University of Kentucky with Billy Gillespie, and that was when I graduated college. So I wasn't in the workforce yet. I wasn't coaching yet. I was still just student. I was celebrating being done, and at the time, Kentucky played North Carolina. This is when North Carolina won the championship. They had Danny Green, Tyler Hansbrough, Ty
Okay.
Lawson, McCann. They had a squad, and I think McCann's on that team. I'm not sure, but when going into my last year of school, college, because I was done playing, so I was doing my fifth year age, so I get ready to graduate. I looked at the schedule when he was at Kentucky, and I was like, oh, I said, oh, Carolina, my favorite team, man. I got to get to that game. And he was like, if you can make it to Rupp, you can make it to Lexington, man. I got you. So me and some buddies of mine, we drove from Hammond to Lexington. Um,
Ooh.
and I got to see kind of how he that was my first experience, like seeing how he did it. what his life was like as a college coach. Now I know that he didn't start at Kentucky, but I got to kind of see I don't want to say the pinnacle of it because he did coach he coached in the national championship game. They lost, but he did get to coach in the national title game. But
wow,
to kind of, Kentucky is,
that's the
historic,
highest
obviously.
level. That's
the mecca of
That's
basketball, college
blue
basketball.
chip. Yeah.
Exactly. I got to kind of see how the players was treated. Got to see how the coaches were treated. He tossed me a shirt like Kentucky basketball, like, yo, this is my nephew. Take care of him. And I'm like, damn, this is what college basketball is for real. And and that was when I started kind of to develop the itch for coaching. But I just needed to graduate, and then once I said I wanted to do it, I started coaching AAU a little bit, small time AAU in Hammond. I got to know some people when I was playing at Southeastern. Buddy of mine, he runs this team called the Shockers, and I wanted to coach, and that was kind of where I kind of cut my teeth. And he said, "Man, look, come on, work with me. Come help me out. I could use a guy like you." So that was where I kind of realized, like, all right, I can do this. Even though it was AAU, it was one of those things where it was what I thought it would have been.
Yeah, you didn't feel overwhelmed by it.
No, it came natural. The basketball side of it. Now, of course, AAU, you don't get, you deal with the politics, but you don't deal with nearly as much as you would deal with at the college level or high school for that matter. But from a basketball perspective, I was like, I like this. This is exactly what I thought it would have been. And it was just a matter of just getting on. And that summer, I emailed a ton of schools all over the country, about GA spots, bottom assistant. I was JUCO, D1, NAI, whatever it was. And it just so happened that my very first job was at Rogers State University, which is in Claremore, Oklahoma, like maybe 45 minutes north of Tulsa. And I emailed them about a bottom assistant spot, knowing that I would have to get it out the mud. And the AD and my uncle worked at Oklahoma State together. The AD was the ops guy. My uncle was an assistant. This is when Tony Allen played at Oklahoma State when they went to the Final Four.
Okay, yeah.
And he shot my auntie a text message like, yo, man, some guy named Mike Cyprien just emailed about an open position that we have, and he's using Glenn as a reference. Do you guys know him? And my uncle, that's our nephew. You need to hire him. And that was how I got into business. And 9 years deep in, 9 years deep in, I love skill development. That was my favorite part. This still is. I just don't do it as much as I used to, but it's my favorite part of the game, of basketball. It's getting in the lab with the kids and with the players rather, and finding out what I can do to help them get better. And when I was coaching D2 ball in Arkansas, school called Arkansas Monticello, was Division II. My uncle was with the Grizzlies at the time, and I was like maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes away from campus. Was 2 hours and 15 minutes away from FedEx Forum. And when I realized how close I was like, oh, I'm in there. Like I'm going out there every other weekend. And I kind of got to see how their skill development staff work, their player development staff work. And I just remember saying to myself, like, okay, I'm doing it right. That was kind of like my validation that I was on the right path. And I just needed to change some stuff, but like, this is how it looks at the highest level of player development. And then I was trying to figure out my exit plan out of college coach. I'm like, this ain't, this is what I want to be doing within the game of basketball.
Good, man. So I appreciate you giving the breakdown of all of the coaches you've been around, all of the players you've been around. All of that matters because, again, like I said in the intro, I like to think that somebody who's been around and seen and actually put as much work and hours, like you said, you driving 2 hours every weekend just to go sit and look at, you know what I mean? Look at how it's done on a professional level. That shows the commitment that you're making to the game. So as we, go into the Pelican side of this thing, bro, like, ain't nothing like having somebody validated, like you said, where you could, you know what I mean? It's supported by the work more than anything. So
no question.
Yeah. So I kind of want, like you just said, your passion was like skill development and stuff like that. So I kind of want to start there when we talk about the Pelicans for a second. So we have a lot of questions, surrounding the coaching staff and how things have been looking. now and over the last couple of years, we'll start this like I'll start when Willie Green got there, because when Willie Green got there is when you saw the players that are on the Pelicans now, the Trey, Herb, CJ is now moved on, but he was a developed player. But Jose, Hawkins, all of these young guys, the guys who are like the cream of the crop now, how would you say that their games have developed from when they got here, when they got to the Pelicans to now? And do you think it's on like a good trajectory for those players?
I believe so. I think the story's still being written for Hawk because he's so young and into it, and he's. I want to when the Pels drafted Hawk, I was excited about it because he was the kind of I know that the buzzword is movement shooter. That's one of those terms that everybody likes to use, but that was something he provided something that the Pelicans needed from the perimeter guys, because at the time Trey was our only person who we leaned on to make shots, and he was of the standstill variety. So
Catch
I
and shoot
saw,
kind of guy.
yeah, with deep range obviously, but he wasn't coming off a lot of those actions with any kind of efficiency like Hawk is, because that's natural for him. But it's just a matter. Hawk's development is going to depend on how he'll be utilized. Because at the end of the day, he's, you can see him trying to work on his handle, trying to work on his ISO package, and you don't know how often he'll be leaned on to rely upon that. And I won't ever say that a player shouldn't develop his isolation game. But it's got to be real. You got to be realistic with it. If you're not going to be leaned on to handle the ball or create for yourself that much, then don't work on it as much. Have it in the back. Have it in your back pocket for late shot clock. Somebody get to the rock and you cover. You have an escape plan. That's what I would. That's what I tell kids that I work with. Like, have an escape plan. There's nothing wrong with having a 7 seconds or less isolation offense, because at some point somebody going to toss you a hand grenade. That's what they say. Somebody gonna toss you the hand grenade in the game, and you got to try to make something happen. So I think as far as Hawks development goes, it just kind of depends on what the identity of the team would be. Trey's probably, obviously, I think Trey's taking the biggest leap, and we got to see me personally, and I've tweeted this and I've said it. I'm so happy to be wrong about Trey Murphy. But that's just. If Trey's good, then that means the team's good. Trey getting better only means that the Pelicans got better. Hawk gets better only means that the Pelicans got better, because them dudes still wear the jersey. I didn't see Trey becoming the isolation scorer that he showed us last season, and that wasn't a flash in the pan, in my opinion. I think that's the real deal, and I really hope that he doesn't miss a beat with that shoulder injury. So I think he's taking the biggest leap. Herb's development is that where you're not going to lean on Herb to do a whole bunch of ISO scoring. So his jump, his leap, and 3-point percentage is going to be crucial. That as far as his development, that part of his development needs to continue to rise, because he's got to go from great. He's making shots in the 82 game regular season, but he's got to be scaring people in the playoffs. I think once he gets to the point where teams aren't saying, "I will live with Herb Jones making shots in the playoff," then you'll really see what development, because he's got the finishing. He can handle it well enough getting downhill. He's not a wiggle, shifty, creative type of dude. He's a downhill driver, closeout, open court type guy, which is fine. But he's got to get his three ball to the point where teams aren't saying we'll live with that. And I think as far as playoffs go, that's when it matters. And then I think you don't need too much more out of Jose, because he's a role guy. He's not going to be a high usage ball handler. He's not going to be a high usage offensive guy anyway. So what Jose brings is exactly what this team will need, in all honesty. Because he's got the type of game, no matter what the identity of the team is, you're not going to lean on him to play 35 minutes and be a heavy on-ball guy anyway. If he's playing with Zion, he's going to be off the ball. So he's just got to be able to drive, closeouts, cut, make open shots. come off screens or come off dribble handoffs and make a play. And that's something that Jose does in his sleep because he's a natural point guard. So he's got that type of feel. And then as far as Missy goes, saw him working on his bag and stuff like that. Like, no,
we don't need you to do that, man.
No. Where he was second. Was he second team all rookie or first
second team all rookie?
Do what got you the second team all rookie. Build on that. Build on that and put yourself in some conversations like most improved or something like that. But you don't need to be out there trying to be Joel Embiid. That's crazy.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. let me go back a little bit because Hawkins is a big talking point right now because I think Hawkins is kind of like when we drafted him, you saw, like you said earlier, we saw the need for that particular kind of player. And that particular skill set, the movement shooting, the off-ball shooting, and adding that element to the team. What I think has happened, though, in the midst of that is I'm not sure if the offensive system allows for Hawk to be the best versions of himself.
I agree.
So I don't know if we'll be able to see, kind of like you kind of had Hawk moving around a good little bit, catching and stuff like that. I don't know if even going forward in this point, like if Hawkins, because a lot of these guys, their games, yes, it develops over time, but you've been doing this stuff since you was a kid. Like you're just mastering what it is that you've been great at, I guess. Exactly. And Hawkins has probably always been that type of player. Meaning his ISO game, like you said, has probably never been what's been his bread and butter. But unfortunately for the Pelicans, I think in order for them, because of the lack of offensive system, he has to develop that. Is that not necessarily the offensive, the ISO game? Is there a way that we can implement something in the system with moving Hawkins more off ball and cuts and stuff like that to where we could possibly maximize this roster more so?
Yeah, and you got Fears, you got Poole, you got Zion, you got Trey. Those four guys alone are going to dominate the Rock. Exactly. I would probably, and I would only probably put Fears in that group because again, that was his role in college, his 1 year in college. That was to your point, that was who Fears has been basically his whole life. Like how he plays on the Rock, he didn't learn that last season at Oklahoma. That was who he always was. So again, to Hawk and his development, he's even if that was, I don't want to say naturally his game, but if that was a good amount of his game, when would he ever get a chance to operate like that? Because again, if you share the floor with Zion for 48 minutes, for 40 of those minutes, Zion got the rock in his hands. And then if Trey's on the floor, Trey's gonna have the rock in his hands. So Hawk's best bet is as a guy who's catching and shooting and using that element to pull guys with him, to force help when he's coming off a downswing, to force a guy to hedge out hard, comes off a flare, to chase him over the top on a certain dribble handoff because he can shoot it. There are ways you can and you should implement Hawk. My question would be, if you want to run him off a whole bunch of Steph Curry type screens, which he himself is capable of doing, who are your screeners? Now you got Kayvon. He screened for Steph for a long time, so he'll know how to get you open. But can Carlo do that? Can Missy do that? Can Zion do that? Could you imagine Zion setting a pin down for Hawk after Hawks hit 2 or 3 threes in a row?
Not consistently.
Yes, you can. Well, who are your screeners? You don't have a body like JV on your roster anymore. You got a bunch of dudes. You don't have dudes who, in my opinion, are naturally. Screening is a natural thing. Steven Adams can set screens in his sleep because he knows that he's in the league to get in people's way and move people out of the way. So you don't want to get hit by Steven Adams' screen, but you'll take a shot from Eve Missy because he's not a good screener, and he'll have himself out of position. He'll move a hip. He'll get you a chicken wing, offensive foul. Just think about.
We're one of the worst screening teams in the league. The constant
exactly.
The would never set. They don't set the screens up properly. Also, so one of the worst screening teams for sure.
And that's gotta be like just think, imagine watching Golden State play, and whether Steph bring the ball up the court and he swing and he goes away, whoever's on the same side of Steph is already knowing we're going to get Steph open. So Steph will know
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to the corner. I'm going to wait on these two guys to set the stagger screen, and those screeners already know I got to get to this spot and this spot and get that man open. So they're going to be set. That's got to be something that's kind of innate, in my opinion.
So the screening is similar to Jeremiah Fizz in the ball handling, essentially.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
gotta
got to
have
have those
guys
kind
that
of players.
yeah you gotta have guys and maybe this I don't see why there wouldn't be an opportunity for in training camp for Looney to just kind of lead that by example. Because
Yeah,
if Missy turns into a good not only on ball screener but pin down screener, he gonna find himself getting a lot of baskets. He don't always
it's very true.
he don't only have to be a pick and roll screener. He can go screen away and slip. He can screen
Mm,
now for he can go get some DHO actions for Zion and then roll off that. He can go set a quick pin down for Zion and let Zion curl into the paint into Zion's area, right around that chart. We know Zion like to get in the middle of the paint and shoot his floaters. And
mm-hmm.
we saw him add that that pull up in the middle of the paint. Why not have
Yeah.
Missy set some screens, some away screens for him, and Zion curls and hit Missy on the lob at the rim. But again,
Man,
that's something that you've got to like off season. Again, don't work on your bag all the time. Like
yeah.
go watch how some of these guys are getting themselves some easy baskets and implement that.
And getting yourself some easy money. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the type of stuff that's
They
gonna make
throwing
you
all
stay in
kind
the
of bread
league.
out. They throwing all kind of
Yeah,
money out at these dudes, man. I don't understand why you want to try to be something that you really not or naturally
man.
not. It's crazy.
You
It's
you
hustling
turn
backwards, in my opinion.
you turn yourself into Jackson Hayes, respectfully to Jackson Hayes, and I hate to say it that
Respectfully,
way.
yeah.
You make a good point. And I posed this question when I was thinking about it. I'm literally watching the games, and I watch Golden State play, and I watch Boston sometimes, but they kind of just like spread out at this point. But you watch
Mm-hmm.
like some of the old Spurs offense and stuff like that, and you
Phoenix
see all of
Suns.
this motion. The Suns, you see all of this motion and cutting and all of that, and they're running all these actions and secondary actions. And I'm sitting there wondering, I'm like, why can't we do this? And the person who's going to take the blame for it is Willie Green, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm thinking about it, is Willie Green, like, if you've been a coach, so you'll know this. Sometimes you can't run these offenses with certain teams. Like, you might have a crop of players that come through, and like the old Spurs offense that was heavy motion and you had a lot of great passes. Sometimes, like, you look at the Pelicans players, respectfully, some of them can't even really throw entry passes,
That's
right?
crazy.
So if you
That's
don't
crazy.
if you don't at this high level, you know what I mean? If we can't consistently hit the big man or consistently set solid screens, is Willie Green, I don't want to say left off the hook, but is Willie Green somewhat like, you don't have no idea what kind of offense I want to run, but we can't do it because it doesn't maximize our team. Like,
It's
what do you
it's a
balance
it's
is
a
with
little
that?
bit of both. It's a little bit of both. Because while and full disclosure, having sat on the sideline at and high school coaches are professional as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to belittle that level, but
Absolutely.
you won't find. I will never bash Coach Green or any other coach. You won't
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of guys who either used to coach or are still coaching at the college or pro level publicly do that. Because there's an
Absolutely.
appreciation for the journey and there's an appreciation for the actual job, because it's a hard job. I will say that a little bit of Coach Green's problem lie in this, and I think he's a little stubborn. I think
Okay.
I think a little bit of I think a little bit of his problems were he didn't know how not to lean too defensive.
Mm.
That's what he is. That's who he was as a player. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's all he knows. And if you have a guy on your staff that was brought on, and I don't know what went on behind the scenes when they hired Borrego, but I know
Right.
that if I'm struggling, if I don't have an offensive mind, a high level offensive mind, and a high level offensive mind is bought in, I'm gonna take the first 30 games to let him show me some stuff. And who's to say that they didn't? I don't know, but I think a lot of times coach leaned a little bit too defensive, and then offensively, the variety in the offense wasn't there, and you saw a lot of, hey, Zion, save us. Hey, CJ,
Yes.
save us late shot clock. Ooh, Trey's got some stuff with him. He's got some stuff in his bag. Hey, Trey, save us. And
Mm.
you 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 know
That's a hard life to live, like Joe said.
we but the you can't. Everybody don't have a SGA. Everybody don't have a James Harden. Everybody don't have an Edwards. Now you got Zion, and you know he's the biggest what if on the planet right now because what if he plays 70 games and we win 56 of them? But we haven't seen that. Well, we saw it once. I'm sorry. So
Right.
you can't if I'm Coach Green, given the track record with Zion, I can't. I have to operate with the assumption that he's only going to play 40 games. Period.
Okay.
So, in saying that, now you've got to coach your offense to your roster without Zion. So now you have to do more cut stuff. You have to implement. You have to hammer down ball movement. You have to hammer down learn how to screen. Hey, let's get Hawk some touches. Let's see if we can put Trey and Hawk in some actions. And I'm just throwing names out, but if you operate with the assumption that your stars aren't available because they've shown you that they can't be available, then you have to coach your roster like they won't be around, and it can't be just heavy ISO. It can't be, those Horns elbow entries kill me. I'm like, come on, man, we got to stop with the Horns elbow entries.
I think it's easily guarded, to be honest.
It is. Even if you're entering that to Zion, you've got to have, and a lot of offenses get a little vanilla throughout the course of 82 games, especially if you're a playoff team. You don't want to show off too much going into the playoffs, but you still have to have some spice in there because you got to get those guys out of the mundane. You got to get them going into the playoffs with some fresh stuff. So
some excitement, to be honest.
Yeah, just something different, man. We just Dyson Daniels was hung out to dry a lot of games because our offense was just the same thing over and over. You put a young point guard in the key stretches of the game in a bad position because we don't have any counters to some of that. But you got to play Dyson because Coach Green is a defensive savant and he knows how to utilize Dyson. So it's kind of a gift and a curse.
I was thinking about it, the difference between, and it's kind of got me wondering going into this season. So not last season, because last season was tough. The roster was, destroyed through injury and stuff like that. So I'm referencing the 49 win season. The 49 win season, they come off the bench with Larry, defensive player, veteran, Najee, defensive player, veteran, Dyson, not necessarily a veteran, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defensive player, Dyson, defensive player, Jose defensive player. The only real offensive player that you were coming off the bench with at that time was Hawkins, who was a rookie. You know what I mean? So it kind of, to a degree, I understood why they leaned heavily defensive, but at the same time, you still made it harder for those guys to, I never see our team get an easy bucket.
Not that wasn't in transition, no.
Exactly. There's nothing in the offense that the offense generated. Somebody slips a screen, they miss it. You know what I mean? So
it wasn't as much as it should have been, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Absolutely.
It wasn't as much as it should have been given. But again, that's something that the guys got. Zion's got to want to go down, and if Zion set some crazy screen, just you don't have. It didn't have to be Zion and Bi in a pick and roll all the time. It could have been Zion and Bi screen away, and Bi could have got his same shots in the area where he likes. He just would have got them off the ball,
and with a lot less work.
And if they switch it, then cool. Zion, you screen in, you sit down on on whoever BI was guarding, and we just punch, but not implementing that to guys that want, and getting him open is going to help us get open, and at the very least, it's just going to get the ball moving. And I don't think that there was enough of that because you got guys screener. Herb tries, but Herb is one of the ones that gets the most illegal screens because he's just not a good player we had on the court last season. And he didn't get he got says it was miscommunication between him and the guy he's trying to get open. Maybe the guy leave it too early, he's got a lane, that type of stuff. So some of the best guys I coached that were good screeners, they just knew how to do it, whether it was a guard or whether it was a forward. They understood why they did it, why we needed them to do it, and they went and did it. And if they did it wrong, they wanted to start, okay, I got to get my feet set this way. No, you leaning. And we watched them like, damn, I did lean, my bad. So they, if it wasn't innate, if you had to buy in, they wanted to do it right. They wanted to get it better. I don't know that there was that much on the roster the last couple of years.
Let me ask this question: with bringing in Looney, right? Because you mentioned the Golden State, and you know what that offense is like. Willie Green technically was there during some of the Golden State run when they had some of that, the Phoenix run when they, was a good screening team at times. So with bringing in Looney, if you go back and watch some of the Golden State games when he got in, you can tell his natural instincts. Like if you grew up and I don't want to say as an older player, but like some of the players from the era that I grew up playing in, it was you naturally thought when you pass, go screen away. Pass, cut. You know what I mean? So you're naturally looking for somebody to go set the screen for. It's bringing in Looney when what it looks like sometimes our offense is heavy. You know what I mean? It looks rather simplistic at times, and also it could be ISO heavy, like you mentioned. Is having somebody like Looney who during practice, during training camps, times like that is just naturally going to be setting screens. Do you think it's something that he can kind of instill in the team and players like Zion? Like, hey, bro, look, I know you're the man, but like if you don't have it, like you see stuff like he can relate to Steph Curry. You see Steph Curry setting back screens for Draymond, and that being a dynamic part of the offense like Zion. If you were to go set a screen for, Poole or, back screen for Trey and stuff like that, is that something that maybe bringing in a veteran who at this point in their career is, because this season is make or break for everybody. You have to do something.
Yeah.
And this team is, in my opinion, I don't know if I necessarily say more offensively talented, but I think they have more offensive pieces.
I think this team my bad. I think this team will probably have a little bit more versatility than previous teams. Because Poole can catch up, because Poole played in no system. He got a ring. Him and Looney both got rings. So they know how to operate in that free flowing system. To answer your question, a vet like Looney can help a lot of rosters. But it's not up to him. It's up to the guys to listen to him. So there's a chance that and I even think Jordan Poole is at a point now where he went from champion, gotten his bread to DC and basketball purgatory. So he's got to, if he don't play this right, he can be in basketball purgatory.
That's true.
To be honest with you, and if these dudes care about that too. I don't see why they wouldn't, but I think you do have a couple guys who currently, in recent memory, have won at the highest level. So that alone may command some respect from the locker room. It's just a matter of what type of voice that they'll have, and I think Looney having a couple of rings will get Zion's ear just on that alone. And you've got to be able to. Screening is a selfless act on a basketball court because you can screen and be open and you still won't get the rock. Plain and simple. You've got to go into it knowing that I'm coming screen for Al. Period. I don't care if I get the rock. My whole duty is to get Al open. And if you operate like that, if you operate with that mindset, then screening is easy as hell. And it'll lead to something good. Again, whether it's a good look or just relieving some pressure and getting the ball open. If you can kind of think of it in that manner, then you've become a selfless player, and that's when you'll start seeing guys get better.
Absolutely. You mentioned Zion for a second, and I kind of want to ask this question about him. Do you think Zion has another level to his game that we haven't seen,
Yeah.
or because we've seen him look top at when Zion's gone, we've seen him look like one of the best players in the league.
No, he
He
looked
he
top
got
10. He
moments with
looked top 10. He
yeah
looked.
yeah
I said in the blender when him and Ant Edwards went toe to toe. Remember when D'Lo was like, "Man, Zion out there playing football?" Like, nah,
yeah.
he
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 looked
does
like the
that.
better player.
Yeah,
At times he looks like the better player.
and Ant was doing some nasty stuff that game. I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
young boy ain't no joke. So it would,
Yeah.
but Zion was the same level athlete as Ant and bigger than him. Just the
Mm-hmm.
so he does, and I think there's a chance that he can get to it because this is the first offseason Zion's had where he didn't have to use the whole offseason to rehab from an injury, and then
Mm-hmm.
use training camp to get his timing back, get his conditioning back.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that Zion took this. I would hope that Zion took this specific offseason to work on his craft, to develop an elbow jump shot that he was trying to show us, to develop, that nail jump shot, to turn those mid paint floaters into actual pull up jump shots around the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I was telling Chris Connor that those mid paint floaters
Mm-hmm.
take 2 steps back, you're at the free throw line. Now
Wide open.
those turn into jump shots. Now suddenly
Mm-hmm.
you start sticking the nail jump shots, the elbow jump shots. Those dudes got to defend you. Now you don't have to worry about like launching yourself and getting fouled because now you got those dudes who foul you, who foul you in the paint where the ref can't see it. They got
Mm-hmm.
to come guard you at the elbow. Now the ref can see it. Now
Mm-hmm.
you've got some leverage. So those are the types of things that just something simple as that he add to his arsenal. He may add 5-7 points to his game, as long as he as long as he stays healthy. So to answer the question, I do think there's another level in this based upon this specific offseason where he finally don't have to worry about rehabbing an injury and then using training camp or
Mm-hmm.
using this offseason to get himself back in shape or rehab an injury.
I completely agree. I'm on record of saying I think this season, and it's kind of why I'm so bullish on them this year. I think Zion's gonna have one of those second team All NBA 28, 8-8 type seasons for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. I think he comes back. Because normally when he comes, it takes him time to find his touch
Yeah.
around the
Yep.
rim. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I think he
Yep.
starts the season off with that. It takes him some time to normally when he starts, the handles are a little loose. I think he
Yep.
comes in the handles tight. And also I think he adds the use of the right hand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
adds the right hand, and it doesn't have to be as strong as the left, but if he adds the right hand in that mid-range nail area that you're talking, just comfortably hit it. You see Giannis be able to when Giannis
Yeah.
started being able to shoot that, it turned Giannis from a really good player to two-time MVP. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Level player. So I definitely think Zion has another level to his game, and I think that's gonna carry us in the season. To be honest, um, let me ask you this: so our rookies, regardless of what I don't, some people say they don't think the rookies will be able to help immediately, and then some people say we think they're gonna help, but it shouldn't rest on the season shouldn't rest on our expectations for the rookies. What do you think about that between with the two potential players? Well, not potential, the potential of the two players that we picked.
I think Zion having a healthy offseason saved those two young boys from not
Mm.
having to have those expectations later on because
Oh,
you
it's a great
the,
point.
the golden the golden goose is still here and everybody's looking at him like, yo, what you gonna do? This is year number
Mm.
7. So they've kind of got a blanket in that regard.
Oh.
But you still, if you don't move what you move for Queen,
Mm-hmm.
then because by making that move, you're telling everybody like, this is our guy,
Mm-hmm.
and you've allowed people to place. expectations on him because of just based off what you did from them, what you did to get him alone. And then of course you take a guy like Fears, you take a guy in the top 10, same thing. You just by selecting them where you selected them and acquiring how you acquired them, you allow people to say like, damn, them dudes, they must be about to come in and do some damage. And again, if you didn't have Zion and a lot of questions surrounding him, a lot of people, the noise around their expectation will probably be a little bit louder. I think that's what kind of saves them from having to be world beaters at young ages, because you got Zion and you got Trey coming back from injury. You hope that he didn't miss a beat. So those young boys got a bit of a reprieve just because of those situations between Zion and Trey, but Zion mainly though, because again, this is, you said it earlier, this is a make or break season. So and Zion is your team. There's no BI, there's no CJ, so you don't have to worry about nobody else compete with you for. There's no nothing. You are the dude on the roster. There's no hierarchy. The hierarchy starts and ends with you now, brother. And and then Trey. But even I think Trey will say the same thing. Like, yo, this Zion's team, at least for this season. So that kind of just gives those young boys a little bit more room to breathe and grow and play through some mistakes, stuff like that.
I agree. Let me ask. So a lot of people, you kind of during the summer league, Fears played all 5 games. You saw him get better as each game went along, and you saw the flash of almost looked like star power in Jeremiah Fears' game between the handle, how he attacks the rim. You know what I mean? He has the look of a star player in the league, right? But Queen, realistically, the skill set, the size, I mean, bro, he looked like he could be, I don't know what he could be. So I don't want to say what he looked like he could be. You know what I mean? But the skill set is I think it's going to be one of those that's kind of unmatched, to be honest. He reminds me of a less athletic Boogie. You know what I mean? Kind of how Boogie used to handle the ball and be able to shoot a little bit and stuff like that. I don't want to put that on him necessarily, but that's just kind of like the shades that I get from Queen. When you looked at Queen's game, what do you see as far as like how can he help the team immediately? Like, what do you see for Derek Queen and his upside?
I see similar to what in that mode of in the mold of Jokic and Boogie, and B, where you got big guys who are skilled away from the low post but can do damage at the low post, work the glass pretty good, but you can use them on the perimeter to initiate the turn action, stuff like that. And again, some of when you see Queens, some of the actions, some of his skill set, go back to that innate word. It just, you don't have to teach a lot of what he is as a player, because he looks like a guy who probably play at the park a lot. And when you go play at the park, you go play 21. It's you versus 10 other people. You've got to be able to create against 9 other guys to get a basket. So he has a game like a guy that came up doing that. His feel is just instinctive. It's just a matter of harnessing that. It's just a matter of him getting reps. He at the college level, even though there probably were more elite level athletes. He even at the Power 5 level, not every athlete on the floor is elite and has a high IQ. At the NBA level, everybody on the floor, even the worst player on the floor, is an elite level athlete and has a relatively high IQ, at least higher than the highest IQ that he might have played against when he was at Maryland last season. So he's gonna need the mental reps. He got to get the conditioning, but it won't take him long. It won't take the game long. It won't take him long to. It won't take the game long to slow down for him, because he already plays at his own pace. He don't play at a breakneck speed. He's just got to get used to the up and down. Converting defense to offense and back to offense. Just the up and down of it all. because who knows, that's probably how Coach Green's gonna want to play this upcoming season. So he's gonna have to get himself a little bit more streamlined out the gate, and then now you can, if you do it right, you can have him and Zion on the floor together, and post Zion while he's at the top of the key, and do that old like Hito Turkoglu and Dwight Howard used to do. Dwight would spin off, post up the lane, spin off, and Hito threw the lob from top of the key. Queen's skilled enough to make those plays and see it before it happens.
Queen mentioned that when he got drafted, said, "I can't wait to throw lobs to Zion."
Yeah,
it's just a matter of getting the physical reps and the mental reps. Fears is the same. Fears don't need the physical reps; he needs the mental reps because he's gonna be facing big guards and big wings every single night. He's gonna get hunted on defense. They're gonna test him. It's gonna be some nights where he does a little too much with the rock, and he's gonna get embarrassed. They've got to get that out of their system. I thought you saw a little bit of that with Queen in the summer league. I thought you saw more nerves than anything with him, and that's just what it is. Vegas, you probably heard a lot about what the team did to get you, and a lot of people saying that was the dumbest trade ever.
Want to come out and prove them wrong?
Yeah, you want to come on and make. He already said, like, I want to make Joe Dumars look like a genius. So and saying that you put a lot of expectations on yourself, and shout out to him for doing that. But you did. I thought a lot of what you saw from him was nerves and stuff like that. But I think over time, them dudes will get better, and Looney can probably be a big help for him as well. And teaching him how to do stuff without the rock in his hands. And all that's going to do is add more to his game as well, add more to his skill set.
Absolutely. I think one of the things with Queen that we saw was as the games went on this summer, you saw him improve. You know what I mean? By the time that third game, he got comfortable. Like he was the handle started. Like he was okay. I can attack these guys with my moves. The 1 footer started to come along. Let me ask this: do you think that Willie is going to play a different way? Like how you said, I would use the first 30 games to kind of test out a new offense or test out maybe some kind of different style of play. Or do you think he's going to lean into, hey, my job is on the line? You know what I mean? I'm leaning into, I guess, the defense first, which I don't know if you can lean into defense first with this particular roster because there's no defenders like the ones you had. So if you try to preach that, I mean, I don't think you'll have a chance.
I agree. And in all honesty, if he's coaching for his job, if I were him, I wouldn't coach how I've been coaching. Because for exactly what you said, you've got to show the new regime that you're willing to change. Like the defensive numbers that Coach Green and staff helped put together when BI and Zion was missing games was amazing. He don't have to. I don't think he has to prove to Joe Dumars and Weaver that he's got a great defensive mind. I think he's got to prove to them that he can show some growth where he's lacking at. Or if he can't show the growth himself, he's willing to trust his staff with that. Because again, the job of a head coach, if you're a leader of men, is to show trust in people. And I've worked at, and on a micro scale, when I was at the JUCO level, my head coach came in the office. He was like, "Hey, bro, man, we got to win this game. I need 10 underneath out of bounds plays, man. I'm drawing a blank. I need your help." And it was nothing for me to get them from. And then sure enough, there was a crucial moment in the game. I was like, I didn't think he was gonna need me to draw it up for him because he forgot. So he like, "Hey, I need you to draw up that one of them out of bounds plays. Draw up I forgot what it was called." And right then and now, like, oh, damn, this is real life. I'm glad I knew where to go get these sets from. And I told him after the game, I was like, "See, no, don't do to me that. Don't do that to me, man." I was like, "Do not do me that again." And I'm like, he said, Well, if you want to be a head coach, my dude, you got to be able to. So I say that to say like he's got to hand over the clipboard if he's not gonna if he himself is reluctant to lean offensive and he wants to be that dude. Okay, great. Well, do like Mike Malone did with Coach Adelman. Here, take the huddle, bro. We need a set. And let your offensive guru get 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 the offense better. And then I think that'll if this results are positive and it's leading to wins, then now you've shown the new guys like you're not stubborn, you're not willing to bend, you can lead and manage people, you can get along with your staff. Because I think all of that matters.
I absolutely agree. I think and this is just my personal opinion, I think one of the biggest and best traits that a coach can have, and this is any kind of coach of any sport, is being able to use the tools that you have available to you. Because you can't, some people have a system and they make you fit the system. Other people, we build the system around what it is that we have. And I think that leads to you being the most successful. I'm gonna ask this last question and then I'm gonna get you out of here. Based on what it is that we've seen as far as like the players that we've brought in, it looks like we're bringing back the same coaching staff. Joe Dumars, in a lot of his interviews, he's hinted at, hey, we want high IQ players all throughout. Do you think that the roster that's put together, we can be successful this particular season? ESPN, they got us projected for 31 and a half wins. And let's assume, because I look at it this way, if we're going to assume that our team is healthy, you have to assume that all other teams are healthy as well.
Yeah.
So if everybody is healthy with the coaching staff and with the players and everything, what do you think this team falls based on what it is that you see?
I think, first of all, high IQ is a high bar because you're leaning on two rookies. You're leaning on you. When you say high IQ, you got to be able to operate without the rock in your hands. You got to know when to cut. That screening where you got to know who to get open. You got to know where the ball needs to go to at certain times. And that's not just defensively either.
Not to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
I'm sorry. I think when you say that like a lot of people don't think about it that way. I absolutely think that that's what Joe Dumars is thinking when he says it. Do you think that they'll actually be able to do it? Like
I don't know, because I didn't see high IQ from Jordan Poole, because if he did that, maybe he would last it and go to state a little bit long.
Okay.
Not Washington. He wouldn't have got sent to purgatory.
I get what you're saying.
Like I think Looney's got high IQ. Carlo may have high IQ. He's just got to see the floor. Does Missy have high IQ? I think Hawk's IQ is relatively high, as is Jose. So that's four guys. But Missy's not going to be a top 6 player. I don't think, at least not up the gate.
Okay.
Hawk's not going to be a top 6 player. Jose's not going to be a top 6 player. He'll be a top 8 or 9 player. And who else did I name? Hawk, Missy, Looney. Looney's going to be a top 6 player, and you hope that by game number 57, he's not a top 6 player. You hope that he's like the second big off the bench.
Yeah.
I said it to say, like, I don't know collectively that we have the IQ. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that. I fear that we don't, which is why we've always in the past we've always reverted to so much ISO basketball, because the only part of the IQ that these dudes, in my opinion, have is the eye. I got to get my own basket. And a lot of guys' brains don't function well if they don't have the rock, because they don't see the court. Like dudes who high usage guys, a lot of times don't stare at the floor to find out where they can cut to, or who they can, where the ball needs to go to next, or where they need to screen at. High usage guys look at the rock, like, when is this ball coming back to me? Because I got this switch. I can get by this guy, or I know I can get him And then now I'm looking at what my next read is when I get to the second level of the defense. And Trey showed up. Now I say Trey. Trey was a spot up guy, for a good bit, for a good portion of his career until last season. So
Right.
maybe Herb's high IQ. So you talk about maybe a third of the roster, but
Okay.
it's not on the back end of the roster to be high IQ. It's on
You need the
your
top.
heavy hitters. You need
Yeah.
Poole. You need Poole. You need Fears. You need Queen. You need Zion. Especially Zion. You need your top 6, 7, 8 guys to be high IQ guys, because if they're high IQ, then it's just gonna leak to the rest of the guys, and then your whole roster's high IQ. It's a big reason why Jonathan Kuminga is not fitting in with
Golden
Golden
State.
State, because
I can get the
the
rock and
athlete.
go.
Yeah, he's the
Mm-hmm.
athlete, and he's probably the most talented player on the roster, not named Steph Curry, but he's the one that's not like the others. He's the one like, gimme, I need the ball. Was Draymond like, no, go get him open. And if you get him open and you slip the screen, I'm gonna throw you a lob. And now you look like a genius, because you did something that you don't always do. So I worry that at today, collectively, we don't have a high IQ. That's not to say that by the time preseason starts, they won't. And then to answer the win, I wouldn't give us 31 wins. I'd probably give us I think my max win number would be 40, 41.
Ooh, 41, you think?
Yeah. I'm gonna take the over, but not much over. To be honest with you. Because it's new pieces. You gotta, the Zion's giving us a sample size that he's not always healthy. You still have DeJounte Murray coming off his injury. You don't know where he's gonna be. So you're gonna play some rookies. So and Missy, you got 3 young guys who gonna be in your rotation. 4 if you count Hawk. He's kind of like the unknown, and make or break year for the staff. Is coach gonna still be stick to his defensive identity, or is he gonna turn the keys over and let the offensive guys take over? That's too much uncertainty. For me to go ahead and be like, yeah, we won 50 games. Like, if we won 50 games, I'd be happy as hell. But we got too much of a sample size. We got too much data for me to not be realistic with what I think the team will be at.
Man, well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for joining. Yeah, man, appreciate you for joining, giving your knowledge, giving us the game. You know what I mean? And I won't lie, I got some things that, based on our conversation, that I need to revisit. You know what I mean? and kind of adjust my thinking on the team, because I won't lie, I'm bullish on the season, but again, with all of the uncertainty, I'm looking at the upside of each decision, and not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we gotta hope.
No, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't agree with you. And like, damn, man, Queen could be good. Fierce and Queen could be good in the future, but that's at least 3 years from now.
Yeah. Oof. Well, Coach Sip, man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for joining the show, man. It's been Pels and Blender. Oh, I saw you. You put out your film Don't Lie Hoops. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Y'all go out and support. You know what I mean? Are you're in Georgia right now doing that, right?
Yeah, I live in Cobb County. I live right down the road from where Ace Bailey went to school at. So his last home game, I got to cover it because I can walk to the gym. That's how close I am. Talent out the wazoo up here, though. It's nuts. And the business is flourishing because I'm able to see so much talent. So it's been good. It's been good so
awesome,
far.
Man. Well, good. Blessings to that. You know what I mean? I hope you keep striving. You know what I mean? Overachieving and excelling in everything in life, bro. Shout out to the family. You know what I mean? Y'all be safe. Thank you for joining the episode. We out.